DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the FL1 betting podcast here on FingerLakes1.com. Paul Russo with Jim Sinicropi and Kyle Evans here with you. Wildcard weekend in the books. Got the divisional round of the playoffs looking ahead of us in the NFL. And one more college football game on the docket as well, the College Football Playoff Championship. So all that, recap our picks, make our picks for the week, and who knows what else. But first, thank a couple more of our sponsors, including Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. You can visit Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant at their original Waterloo location or all new renovated location in Geneva. Dine in, takeout, delivery, catering, and banquets. You can order online at Cicinos.com. Live, laugh, and eat well. It's the Italian way. And GoNet Speed. The future of connection is here, and it's fiber made for how we live and work today. GoNet Speed fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. You can check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at GoNetSpeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home.
Couple notes, GoNet Speed. I have it at home, obviously.
Yeah.
And very pleased. I've had it for, a couple of years now at least. We're streaming 3 different TVs on our phones. It's great. It's cheaper and it's great. And Cicino's, a little tip if you're ordering for football this weekend, extra large cheese pizza. Get the extra large. It ends up being a little thinner, a little more New York style. So if you like your New York style pizza a little thinner, it's kind of hard to find around here. You get the extra large from Cicino's, and you'll be happy, along with some charboiled wings.
Look at you, cheat coding out here.
Yeah, you got to know. You got to know the secrets.
Yeah. So, all right. Speaking of secrets, let's not keep our picks from last week and how well they did any longer.
I don't even remember. Oh, pretty good.
3-0 for you, Jim.
Yep.
Send it home, Jerome.
I'm coming for you, Kyle. I'm up on the air now.
Hey, you were spot on in the lock fight between you and Kyle, even though I guess there was a way that technically you both could have came out on top.
Well, it always comes down to a turnover here or there, these games.
But spot on. You got the under by 1.5 in Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And then the Eagles score-wise was never in question. So back into the double-digit mark in the unit department for you.
Let's go.
Kyle, the rough streak for you anyway continues a little bit here. Nailed the Rams outright on the money line, but the Broncos, man, your Bills just destroyed the Broncos.
Well, I guess it helped out in the long run. It was like a reverse jinx. It helped the Bills win big. But, 3 straight losing weeks. It's not been good. And, the Chargers game, man, they were up 6-0, and then it was just all Houston.
You built up your bank good enough to weather a few bad weeks.
Yep. We'll bounce back here this weekend.
And I'm just chipping away. Another 2-1 week for me. We'll take it.
Glad to see it.
And
your Commanders.
Yeah, the Commandos rolling into the divisional round, first playoff win since 2005. Was great. And then the Rams, much like Kyle, hitting that money line, and then Texas just not even really in that game with Ohio State, really. I mean, I know you can make the case they were, but just felt the whole time that, especially going into halftime and then out of halftime, that they just weren't even in it. So that is part of the deal.
How are we handling this? We going to go college first and then NFL, or?
Well,
it's a great weekend. I mean,
it's
maybe the best weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because college side, we have to wait until Monday for,
right?
Which is well after, obviously on the NFL side, things get done. So.
National championships in college are just decided on Monday nights traditionally.
Yep.
Basketball and football, the two that really matter.
Yeah. So, I don't know. How do we want to?
Let's get the college game. I'm not really excited because I don't like either team. Yeah. But to me, Ohio State's the best team. They're probably gonna win and cover that big line. in my opinion. Although Notre Dame seems to find a way. The intangibles seem to be on Notre Dame's side, but the skill and depth and quality of the rosters tend to be on Ohio State's side. So, I think at the end of the day, national championship game, Ohio State's going to win, and I think they're going to win easily.
Yeah, I'm going to withhold the pick here because I do have it as one of my selections, admittedly.
Save it for the picks, but
It's interesting. Money-wise here and percentages, everything's kind of trending on the Notre Dame side of things.
well, Notre Dame has a large national fan base, and they see things through green and gold colored glasses.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But there are a lot of people who see things through the scarlet and silver.
That's true too.
But the best line you can get Notre Dame right now is a +9.5 if you're looking on the spread side of things. So it makes sense there, I would say, on the spread side of it. Money line wise, it's a pretty big separation. Notre Dame +325, -350 on the Ohio State side. So I can kind of, I guess, see where things would kind of go there. It's just one of those things where I don't know. I could be off base here. I mean, I suppose maybe a couple of years ago when TCU was in the national championship against Georgia.
Georgia smoked them.
Yeah, the lines were probably bigger then than they are even now, maybe a little bit. But, I don't know if I've ever seen a championship game be deciding of at least more than a touchdown here on the line.
It happens in college, and I think you look at the way Notre Dame has won most of their games. It's been through the intangible plays, a turnover deep in their opponent's territory, a punt, a kick return in one of the games, and those types of plays. It hasn't come from them like sustaining drives, and scoring touchdowns off of sustaining drives. If Ohio State had just beat Michigan, even if it was ugly, I mean, the line might be 16.
Yeah.
Like that one loss. And for me, too, in considering these games, I lost a lot of faith in Ohio State when they lost that game to Michigan. But if you take that off the table, I mean, they've been the best team in the country, on both sides of the ball all year long.
Yeah. And I don't know. My main thing with this is you don't know what I call what version of Ohio State's offense is going to kind of show up here. Notre Dame, defensively speaking, and even offensively speaking, to be fair, has gotten dinged up over the course of the past couple weeks through the semifinal and quarterfinal rounds of the playoffs. So a lot of different factors.
No matter which Ohio State offense turns up, it'll be better than Notre Dame's offense. Would you agree with that? Like the worst case Ohio State offense will still be better than Notre Dame's offense.
I don't fully know. I don't know about that only because the Michigan game, for example, the first Oregon game.
Yeah, but Ohio State basically won that game if they didn't mismanage the clock at the end, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't a great looking offense though. I mean, you win.
Yeah,
right?
I'm throwing the Michigan game out of my memory banks. I just think it was a rivalry game that Michigan's gotten the better of them over the past few years, and I just don't think it applies to anything else other than a standalone, anomaly.
That's true.
And again, I just confident in Ohio State. I'll probably take Ohio State with the points and expect to see a easy victory for the Buckeyes, and then turn it off before I get to watch either team celebrate. And then be glad that then wait for Fran Brown to field the team next year for Syracuse, the coach of the year, newcomer of the year.
Yeah, for the Paul Bear Bryant and
Steve
Brown. Spurrier too. And again, the Spurrier one's more of a coaching staff one than anything else. So good stuff going up at the Hill for us. NFL wise,
before we do that,
go ahead.
Kyle McCord.
Oh yeah.
His draft buzz is increasing.
Yeah.
I've heard third round, and just for people talking, on the talking heads on FS1, and I've just heard his name being brought up a lot. Who was it specifically? Not Tony Kornheiser. Colin Cowherd. He's a big Kyle McCord fan. He thinks he's the type of guy that you can drop in and will immediately produce on the NFL level.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe.
He's a pocket
I
passer.
don't know. Don't know if I like having the Cowherd seal of approval, but only because with his vast college football knowledge, where he still thinks Army and Navy are independents, you know.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot on his plate. He covers a lot.
Yeah.
I like the show. I like Cowherd.
So, all right. Now officially NFL.
Yeah, let's talk about this is where it's at this weekend. I mean, these are the best games, of the year, back to back, Saturday, Sunday. Huge games and really intriguing matchups across the board. And your Commanders are getting a lot of love as being the Cinderellas and possibly upset special.
It doesn't feel like it, at least the people I've talked to. That's for sure.
I'm just talking national media stuff I'm reading. Here's almost every year in this situation, in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, you'll get 3 home teams to advance and 1 away. It's kind of amazing if you look back over the past 20 years how often that's held true. So who's going to be the road team that wins? A lot of people will say Ravens. But after that, I think you look at the Commanders.
Be nice.
You don't seem too confident.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I have to wait until we get to our picks again, maybe for a little bit more on the front here. I just, it's interesting because the people, that I talk to here, friends and everything, they're not buying into the Commanders this round.
Kyle's here too today.
Well, Kyle,
Who's your one road team, Kyle?
Hold on though. I have a beef to pick with Kyle.
All right.
From last week. I know what you might say, but I'm just going to do my nice solemn scoreboard point right now, and Commanders are sitting here now in the divisional round. Kyle, what say you about that?
Yeah, well, one of my picks actually I think is going to be related to that game. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but yeah, you're probably not going to like it.
That's all right. You locked fight Jim last week. I can lock fight you this week.
But I don't know. Maybe I won't go with it because I think I'm not too confident.
If you just off the top of your head, which road team's going to advance this week? There's 4 games. You're probably going to say Baltimore.
No, I don't think he's going to this week.
It's not going to be popular. The Rams.
I'm with you.
I'm not with you guys on that. I think that a lot of people are overestimating how good they looked last week against Minnesota, who, let's face it, Sam Darnold was awful. They
had a bad last month of the year.
Yeah, he cost him maybe his career several $1 million. But, the Eagles is just more of a well-rounded team. Not that Jalen Hurts is like the best quarterback in the league or anything, but the total package is going to be tough. The Rams are coming to play, in Philly. Dome teams do not generally fare well in the playoffs when they go on the road.
True.
Granted, they're underdogs as it is if they're going on the road. But, yeah.
I don't know.
I look, the Rams are really intriguing, and I could be wrong, but I just feel like Philadelphia's been better all year long, and they're the home team, and I think they're going to advance. I think the Rams' run ends here. It logically seems like the time.
I can see it. I don't know, though. Philly, for all our purposes, though, they didn't look really great against the Packers.
No, Philly hasn't looked great a lot of the year.
Yeah.
But, here they are, the number 2 seed.
It's true.
In the NFC, and fairly healthy and well-rested and ready to go. I mean, they played last week, too, so I'm not like they got a bye week or anything, but they, are pretty healthy.
All right, death taxes. The Houston Texans getting the first game through a weekend. I found it pretty interesting watching the pregame stuff last week. How nobody was really giving them a fair shot anyway to get, let alone here. But the main talking point was already who has the better chance of being the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. And I think it was like the 5th guy on the desk to be like, what about Houston? Or or the Chargers.
Well,
if they get there.
Ravens and Bills fans would love to see a little upset there, because then they'd be playing for a home game when the Ravens and Bills meet. But again, you could look at it two ways. One, despite the amount the Chiefs have won, they haven't looked like the same team as the past couple of years. Games have been closer. Now, granted, down the stretch, they have been more dominant the past few weeks. And then the Texans all year haven't looked as good as they did a year ago. But they're starting to put it together a little bit more. Mixon's not 100% healthy. I could see the Texans upsetting Kansas City, but I don't think they're gonna. I wouldn't be shocked.
Any chance, Kyle, what you're thinking?
I think there's a chance, but in the end, I think KC wins by double digits.
Texans are really good in third down defense, among the best in the league. And Kansas City is among the best in the league in third down conversions. So if there's anything that, I don't know if you're looking for something, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City's going to win that game. Let's face it. That's another dome team coming to play outdoors against a higher seed. And again, logically, it seems like this is where the Texans' season ends.
Yeah. Washington, Detroit, in a dome.
This is the best, other than the Ravens-Bills, which is like one of the best games of all time.
Yeah.
This is the second most intriguing because you got the young quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who seems like he could single-handedly. Detroit's not good against running quarterbacks, and the Commanders have the third best pass defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So
Bobby Wagner's going to play. Officially got that.
Tough to bet against Dan Campbell. I mean,
Battle of the Dans this week.
Yeah, I like Campbell better than Quinn.
Mm.
Do you like Dan Quinn?
Yeah.
I just don't like the way he looks. Got his hat on backwards all the time.
Everybody has. What is it with people with that?
He's a weird-looking guy. I don't know.
Weird looking that wins.
Hey, look, I would love him too if I was a Commanders fan after what you guys have gone through for the past 20 years. But yeah, that's another thing. I like Campbell better than Quinn in terms of getting his team ready to play. And I think it will be a shootout, though. I think of all the games, that'll be maybe the highest scoring, the one to go over in this postseason of unders. But it's got to go with Detroit.
Kyle smirking.
Yeah, I'll take another double-digit winner. I think the Lions win by at least 10.
Wow.
So those first two games on Saturday, both. Yeah, I think they're going to be 10-point minimum differences.
All right. The Rams, Philly, we kind of already went into that a little bit as well, but that's the first game on Sunday. I don't know. I have a pick on that game too as one of mine, but I don't know. I think it'd be the funny thing if the Rams all of a sudden just go into Philly and beat the Eagles.
I think it'd be awesome.
Next thing you know, we got the Sirianni firing chance going on again.
The head coaching matchup goes to the Rams there. I agree. And I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Can't give up 255 yards to Saquon again like they did earlier in the year when they lost 37-20.
It's true.
In L.A.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess contain Barkley as best as possible, and hopefully Jalen Hurts looks off again because, man, he was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could see that. You could see. I don't think the Rams will get the type of pressure on Hurts that they got on Darnold last week. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Eagles' offensive line is just too good. So, given that, and I also don't think that the Rams will be able to run with Kyron Williams against the Eagles as easily as they did against Minnesota.
And they need Cooper Kupp to get more involved.
Yeah, they've been one-dimensional. Nakua, doing everything, really, right?
Yeah, especially Monday night.
Nakua and Williams.
Yep.
There's lots of trends in these divisional rounds. The one being the 3 out of the 4 hosts winning. 9 of the last 13 years, that's been the case. But, teams fight all season long for home field advantage, and then they get it. But that advantage has not lasted long for number one seeds who are they're 29-13 straight up, but just 15-26 against the spread. So that's 36%. So if you're looking at the lines in the games involving the one seeds, which would be Washington playing Detroit and the Texans playing Kansas City, historically, you take the underdog in the points. Even worse for the number one seeds is their records versus number 6 or worse seeds, where they're just 6-13 against the spread, 13-7 straight up since 2006. And you remember last year, San Francisco barely getting by number 7 seed Green Bay, and the Commanders are 6 seed and Lions are 1 seed, so could see something similar there and have a really close game. Number one seeds playing as small home favorites at 7 points or less are 4-12 against the spread. That's 25% in the divisional round. And, that doesn't necessarily apply as both number one seeds are favored by like more than 8 points at this point. But if the line were moved, then that trend would come into play. 2 seeds, Buffalo and Philadelphia, have actually been more effective than 1 seeds when it comes to home field advantage in the divisional round. They've gone 27-12 straight up and 21-18 against the spread, 53.8% over the last 20 playoff seasons. So something to look for there with Buffalo and Philadelphia. And then the over-under in the last 28 matchups between a 1 seed and a wild card team, the under total is 21-8, 72.4%. And that comes into play in the Lions and Commanders matchup, obviously, as it does in the Kansas City Texans. And then number 2 seeds are 17-10 to the over, 63% in the last 14 years. So Buffalo and Philly game, that would trend over. Now, it seems kind of arbitrary, 1 to 2 seeds, but those are pretty big statistical differences when you get up to 70% or 30% on either side. I mean, those are advantages to play. So just wanted to throw some of those out there to consider, for people to consider.
For other people's consideration too here, Kyle, give us a little bit on this Bills Ravens game for you over there.
I'm still feeling the Bills win by 3. So I guess I shouldn't spoil my pick now, but I kind of did. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be probably whoever has the ball last, and I think it's going to be the best and closest game of the slate.
I wonder with that game, obviously it was the worst Bills loss of the season, although the Texans could be argued too. I don't remember which was a bigger differential. I think Baltimore. But let's say that Bills lost that game back on September 29th, I think it was, and let's say that they lost it on a last-second field goal. Do you think they'd be underdogs right now? I think that the line is so much based on that result. I think that result has made it maybe a 3 to 5 point swing in what the line would be otherwise.
Yeah, and if you look at every expert who's already picked this game for ESPN or wherever else, they're always mentioning that 35-10 Week 4 game.
So Week 4?
Yeah.
I mean, that is basically another lifetime ago.
And they're not, like I said, they had 3 of their starters out on defense.
It was in Baltimore.
Khalil Shakir was banged up.
Yep.
Josh Allen didn't have Amari Cooper. Just the threat of him alone.
Right.
It's just a different. I know the Ravens are different too, but just a completely different Bills team.
Well, one way the Ravens are different is Zay Flowers might be out, right?
Yeah, no practice again. I just read it.
There you go. So, I mean, he played the first time out, Week 4.
Yep.
And it was also September in Baltimore, not January in Buffalo. And we've all seen the way that Lamar Jackson performs when it gets really cold. Not quite as good. So I'm surprised. I'm with you. I'm going Bills all the way in that one. And it should be so great. It should be so great of a game to watch. Like, I'm really excited for it. And it's not as a guy who roots for the Bills but isn't a Bills fan, I'm really amped up for the Bills in this game.
And the best part, it's the final game.
Yep.
You know, when it ends, there'll be no other games to watch, and hopefully it's a Bills win.
And it'll be Sunday night, not super late prime time, but, it's the last game, 6:30, I think.
Yep.
Probably over around 9:30, 10.
Yeah, I got to take my daughter back to school in Virginia on Sunday, so I'll be all set to watch that in my hotel room by myself. I'm going to make sure I'm checked in and got my food, and I'm going to sit there in the hotel room with nothing to do but watch that game.
Nothing wrong with that. I got to see Ryan Preece flip through the air pretty wildly at Daytona last summer that way, so here nor there. All right, so we get to our picks then at this point.
What do you feel about the Bills-Ravens game?
Oh, Bills. I think the Baltimore is the most overhyped team in the playoffs right now.
Wow.
No, I'm just, look, now this might be a bit of a bias thing, but frankly, outside of 2012, I think Harbaugh, frankly, underachieves in the playoffs, and Lamar has now one good game in the playoffs out of his career. So why would I trust, in this case, a team that I frankly think underachieves against a team who, going into at least outside of the past couple of years, probably overachieved in the playoffs a little bit. Yeah. I'm going to stick to my guns. I think Buffalo's a smart play there.
Nice.
So. All right. Jim, I know the way you do it, but because for legal obligations, you have the coin toss option here of going first or deferring since you won the week last week.
I'm going to defer to last. I got a lot of player props this week.
Okay.
I mean, I think that the lines are set pretty well for most of these games, and it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got player props. I might go with the Bills, too, as my pick, but we'll wait and see. We'll start off with you guys.
All right.
And we can talk about these picks, too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'll go first here, Kyle, since I got the week above you. Mentioned it. I'm going Notre Dame plus 9.5. You're giving me those points against Ohio State. I'm going to do it. I picked Notre Dame at the start of the year to at least make it to the college football final.
Mm-hmm. There they are.
Didn't say they're going to win, but I'm going to go with the Fighting Irish over the Buckeyes. It pains me, but hey, when you're chasing picks, you're chasing picks. Got to do it. I'm going to go with the Rams plus 6.5 at Philly.
Oof.
Take the points there for me. And then this is where I wish I could have the full dramatic effect of get this camera in on my face a little bit better. Commanders plus 9.5.
How about money line?
Plus 410. I'm going to do the points. But, I said this last week, Kyle, why not us? And, look, I get it. Detroit, big, burly, scary. But guess what?
Still banged up.
Guess what? I want Dan Campbell's kneecaps. All right? That's what I want to be feasting on Saturday night is Dan Campbell's kneecaps. And I think Jane Daniels and the Washington Commanders are going to do it. And Nick Felice, credit to my guy yesterday, brought this up. If the Commanders were to do it and upset the Lions, can you guys name the only team since 2000 in the NFC to not make the NFC Championship game?
What do you mean the only team?
There's only one team if the Washington were to upset Detroit.
Oh, if Washington got there, there'd be one team left?
To not make the NFC Championship game since the turn of the millennium. Nope.
Oh, wow.
Come on, this one actually is pretty easy when you think about it.
Yeah, I got to go through the divisions.
Mm-hmm. You do.
Oh, the Cowboys.
Yeah. It is the Dallas Cowboys who would
that's
be.
a good reason to root for Washington.
Exactly. So, look, we are America's team now.
Well, I won't go that far.
We are America's team in my heart.
I don't know. The football team
and
/ Commanders.
And we are going to eat Dan Campbell's kneecaps. Look, in all honesty, Detroit's defense still is pretty banged up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
struggle against mobile quarterbacks.
You are right, Jim. I do think this is probably going to be a bit of a shootout, to say the least. I can see that happening.
I'm not saying Washington's going to win, but if I had to pick an upset in one of the games, that's the game I'd pick.
But if you're going to give me 9.5, I'm going to take that 9.5. So I'm going to roll with my Mandos for my third final.
I would tease it up to 10.5 if I were you, just to be safe.
Well, I can't do that on the luxury.
Not in the show, but you can when you place your bet.
All right, Kyle, your time to shine then.
Yeah, I'm taking Chiefs minus 8.5. A lot of rest. Hollywood Brown's back. Isaiah Pacheco's back. Kelsey needed rest, obviously. They're at home. They're going to dominate this game.
And I can get you a flat 8.
All right, cool.
All right.
The line has moved towards Texans.
A hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised at.
And then you said you had the Lions Commanders at 9.5 because I had it at 8.5.
Well, the Commanders I can get at 9.5, but I can get Detroit at 8.5 for you.
All right, yeah. So I'm taking Detroit minus 8.5.
Oh, you
Lock
guys
fight.
could both win.
That's true.
And then I'm going to take, I don't want plus 1.5. I want to take Bills money line, so it's a better payout. Yeah, so there's my 3 picks. Like I said, if I had to choose an upset of the week, I would maybe choose the Rams, but I don't even want to touch that game. The Eagles just didn't play well for me to even think they're going to cruise in that game.
No, I don't like it either. I think the Eagles win. I don't know. It's tough to pick upsets at this point because the favorites are the elite of the league, right? They're the top 4 teams in the league, the 1 and 2 seeds from each conference. It's tough to not see them all advance, but like I said, history shows one of the 4 will not.
And home teams did go 5-1 last week with the Commanders being the only one.
That's right.
But
Road Warriors.
we'll see if that happens again.
All right, Jim. The ball is in your court.
I'm going with the Bills. First of all, I'll go money line 2, just like Kyle.
All right.
Get that out of the way. And then I got a lot of player props here. I want to run through them all with you.
Have at it.
And then I'll go with the ones that I choose for my picks. Jalen Hurts, over 25.5 passing attempts. Saquon Barkley, as Kyle mentioned, 255 yards last time they met against the Rams. I think the Rams are going to do everything they can to stack it up against Barkley, forcing Hurts to beat him. The Rams have only allowed 1 running back to run for over 70 yards. That was Alvin Kamara. Since the time Barkley gave up 255. Last week they contained Aaron Jones to 48 yards. So I don't feel comfortable necessarily betting the under on Barkley because he can just break off 1 run for 80 yards and that's that. But I do feel comfortable in thinking that Hurts is going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. And 25.5 is pretty low for a quarterback for attempts.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Go ahead and give me that one
You're
for one of
going
my
with it.
picks.
Okay.
Why not? I like Kyron Williams over 12.5 receiving yards. Williams played 87% of the Rams snaps last week. It could be even higher this week. His backup's hurt. Additionally, he hit the number last week against Minnesota. If the Rams play from behind, they're probably going to dump off some more to Williams. So, 12.5 receiving yards. He needs like 3 catches probably to get that. Maybe 1 would do it, but I think he'll get 3 catches and see he can get those 12.5 yards. Derrick Henry, longest rush over 19.5 yards. That's a pretty good bet considering how he manhandled the Bills last time. And, it's just a single rush over 19.5. He had a 44-yard run against Pittsburgh last week. He's had a 20-plus yard rush in 4 straight games and 14 of 18 of the games this season. So, I think
The math is mathing.
Yeah, math is math. Math is mathing. And and you got to like Justice Hill over 19.5 receiving yards. If you watch the Ravens all year, Justice Hill is out there all the time. Like Henry's not an every down back.
Right.
Or even receptions, maybe 2.5.
Is it 2.5 for Hill? Yeah, I like that too. I might like that more than the yards. But just something to look at and think about. How about Jane Daniels over 9.5 rushing attempts?
I can see it.
I like the upside for Daniels' yardage prop, but it is high. It's like 54, 55.
Yeah.
He had 13 attempts last week for 36 yards. I mean, so just crushing the 9.5. They'll probably try to contain Daniels in the pocket, but that won't keep him from attempting to run.
Right.
Especially if they're trailing a little bit, he'll probably try to make it happen. So I like the 9.5 rushing attempts for Jaden Daniels. Chiefs aren't very good against tight ends. Texans tight end is Dalton Schultz. Over 36.5 yards and an anytime touchdown maybe. The Chiefs tied for allowing the second most receptions to tight ends at 106 and the most receiving yards at over 1,100, almost 1,200 yards. And in the regular season matchups, Schultz scored a touchdown, racked up 5 catches for 45 yards. So I like Schultz. I actually put that one in already like 2 days ago. Sitting with tight ends, Dallas Goedert, over 3.5 receptions. He's become more involved in the Eagles' offense in the past few weeks, including 4 receptions in 4 of his last 5 games. Last week, T.J. Hawkinson had 5 receptions in the loss. So to the Rams. So, I can see Goddard getting 3.5. How about Keon Coleman? Longest reception, over 16.5 yards. Coleman might not catch more than 1 or 2 balls, but chances are it's going to be over 16.
He's been the deep ball guy for the Bills here recently.
Coleman's recorded a reception of 17+ yards in 10 of his 13 games this year. In the regular season meeting between the teams that they lost, he caught a 24-yard pass. So I like that one. I like a parlay with Derrick Henry and Josh Allen, anytime touchdown, a two-way parlay there. But anyways, out of all those that I gave you, we went with Jalen Hurts over 25.5. I got the Bills on the money line. And, oh, man, which one? You know what? I'm going to go with Keon Coleman over 16.5-yard reception.
Okay.
Those are my 3 picks.
Wait, what was the yardage again?
I had it for 16.5 yards. I don't know if it's changed.
All righty.
But
all right. Lock that in. That's a pick.
yeah, a couple player props to go with the Bills. And, man.
Why not?
There's a lot of player props out there this week.
You said you had it at 16.5 for Coleman?
Yeah.
I see here now 15.5 on DraftKings.
Okay,
there it
let's
is.
Take it. 15.5. If he gets tackled after 16 yards exactly, then I'll be glad that Kyle looked that up.
Somebody had to, because I was busy over here making sure I had numbers written down, right? So, alrighty.
I love it, though. I love this.
Those are picks.
I love these games. I love this weekend. It's probably maybe the best as a sports fan. There's not much else going on. American Express Championship for golf. And then these games.
It'd be nice to get some better games, too. I thought just last week it wasn't as exciting, mostly.
No, the games were under,
except the Sunday
ugly.
night game.
Yeah, they were ugly.
Commanders.
Yeah, the Sunday night game was crazy. But as a whole, they were kind of
Rough.
boring and low scoring. Rough, yeah.
Rock fights, if you will. Yeah. Who you liking, by the way, in the American Express? Who's anybody early on here that perked the interest?
I put $5 on Davis Riley to win and be first round leader. He didn't tee off till 12:30 today. I didn't even look see how he's doing. There's just so many. He was ridiculously long odds though, and my man Nick Taylor won last week.
I know. My one buddy bet him live and was enjoying the fruits of his labor. So
the amazing thing about that was when he was on the 18th tee of the final round, there was no way he was going to win that tournament.
yeah,
He was 3 back of the leader who was on the 16th tee at the time. Well, he goes on, chips in for eagle. J.J. Spahn, who was 3 up on him on the 16th tee, bogeyed 16, and next thing you know, he's in a playoff, and he won. But golf is really, really hard to pick. So I like to pick one long shot every week usually. And Davis Riley has won twice on tour, and he has not been playing well lately. But the way it goes with golfers is sometimes they just snap out of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So you get one, but I'm not planning on cashing that. But if he does happen to put it together, it's a great hedging opportunity come Sunday afternoon.
And my guy, Stevie Yeager, nice little 3rd round anyway. So last week in Hawaii. So
yeah, and he was a super long shot.
Yeah. I hit him on a live line back in April, which was nice. So we'll take that. Stevie Yeager bombs. Kyle, live golf expert, right?
Yeah.
All right, I think that's about it then for today. I think.
Enjoy the games.
Yeah, so be a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys. Good luck with everybody with your picks.
Let me just point one last thing.
Ahead.
So let's say in any of these games, and this is what I like to do. So let's use the Bills for an example. We like the Bills. So if I'm watching that game and the first series of the game, the Ravens rush down the field, score a touchdown, 7-0 Ravens. That's when you go to the money line Bills bet. You know, you can wait. Now, if the Bills score, yeah, okay, you're not doing anything extra. But, you know, if you really think the Bills are going to win, or any team that you're confident in, and they get behind early and those odds jump in your favor, go get it.
Yeah.
Go get it early in the, mid-first quarter when there's so much football to play, and all of a sudden you get this odds boost, basically, if you really believe in yourself.
Yeah. Agreed. It's usually a good way to go about a lot of different sports, obviously, in that sense. So somebody out there this weekend will for sure do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's guaranteed. So, all right, everybody. Appreciate everybody for tuning in and listening. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. FingerLakes1.com YouTube channel. All major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Amazon Music. Back at it again next Thursday. Good luck, everybody, with your picks this weekend. We'll talk next week.